Welcome to NEXTGames' Intense Ambuscade series, January 2025 against Iron Giants. Now it's been a few years since we've seen this one, but I have covered it a few times in the past, and while it's not an overly challenging run, it has the tendency to take much longer than most runs do to defeat for both solo and party players. For solo runs, it's going to take you in the 6 to 7 minute range for easy wins, and 4 to 5 minutes on very easy for most players. It's also posing a challenge for most groups to kill quickly from what I hear. Now in this video, I'll go over key item acquisition, battle strategies, and show two battle examples. One with my well-geared ninja taking on the easy difficulty, and a second example with me taking on the very easy difficulty, again with ninja, but this time using only ambuscade, gear, and weapons, allowing no gear swaps or the use of any add-ons or plugins, and using only easy to acquire trust. Now this second example should be a more specific and realistic example of what a returning player who has taken the time to re-gear themselves with ambuscade gear can expect to accomplish this month. Let's first start though with key item acquisition. This month you will need 1 Arcana kill for your first key item of the day, and 3 Arcana kills for multiple runs in the same day. Now I choose to home point warp to the Shrine Aruavitu, where you can find golems on and up the stairs for your key item. Now this of course won't be enough for higher population servers, so be sure to mention down there in the comments any other locations you find it easy to get your key item this month. Now onto the run itself, which this month is against 2 Iron Giants, Frostknot and Blazeknot. Now at the start of the fight, both have very high defense and will only use an ability called Cyclone Turbine. Now this ability will dispel 3 buffs of everyone within 20 feet if not blocked by your shadows. Now in this mode, both enemies have significant defensive boost that will reduce all of your outgoing damage to about a third of its potential. If you keep the 2 giants within 15% health of each other, they will keep this defensive bonus and only use Cyclone Turbine ability for the entire run. Doing this will make the run quite safe, as you will only need to keep your shadows up and continue doing your small amounts of damage for both of them to die and your run to end. However, it's also normally going to take you upwards of 15 minutes on most difficulties, so while it is effective, it's not necessarily fast. Alternatively, you can do damage to only one of the giants, and after it's 15% or more health below the other one, it's going to freeze in place. Now once this happens, no further damage can be done to the giant at lower hit point levels. You now must switch to the giant with the higher hit point level and start damaging it. There will be both benefits and downsides to freezing one of the giants in this way. Now an obvious benefit is you now only need to contend with one of these Iron Giants at a time instead of 2 at once, and it will be like this for the remainder of the run. In addition, the Frostknot is now going to take 300% more damage from physical attacks when unfrozen, and the Blazeknot is going to take 300% more damage from magic attacks when not frozen. The downside is both will now gain access to their nasty abilities for the remainder of the run that can be a challenge for parties to contend with. Now Blazeknot will gain access to the abilities of Big Seismic Impact, which is an AoE slow, terrorize, and hate reset ability that's also going to inflict significant damage, Firearm Cannon, which does AoE fire damage and inflicts max HP and MP down, and Eradicator, which inflicts massive AoE damage and weakness to everyone in range. Now Frostknot will gain access to Ice Incinerator, which is a conal final damage ability that will inflict burn, Scapula Beam, which inflicts AoE down and all stat down, and Ballistic Double Kick, which inflicts conal damage, resets hate, and inflicts encumbrance. Now Frostknot can also use Mana Font, which along with his Blizzaga Spam can do significant damage to parties, so when he uses this you often want to try and push him to the next freeze phase as quickly as possible to negate any further spells he may cast. Now Blazeknot can use Mighty Strikes, which normally isn't much of a risk by itself, but mixed with all the nasty abilities he uses, he can easily finish off a group member or a tank after one of those nasty abilities is used if he happens to use Mighty Strikes. So it really would be smart for anyone within melee range to try and keep shadows up at all times. Now once one of the 2 giants is defeated, both will fall, and in place of the one that had some hit points left will appear an Iron Giant head with the remaining health of the one that was remaining. Now this is a quick and easy part of the fight, but don't get your defenses down as they possess some nasty abilities, so once this head spawns, just quickly engage it and finish it off with a weapon skill or two. So what else can we do to combat all of these mechanics? Well, for a well-geared soloer, you can reliably take on the easy difficulty as you see me doing in this example right now. I recommend sticking with trusts that can easily survive all the nasty abilities that Blaze Knot will use. Arc EV will work as a solid tank this month, Joaquin and Arcelia are reliable buffers, and Yoran Oran is great for healing. I also highly recommend Seththus this month to quickly replenish the group with HP and MP after nasty abilities are used. Now for returning players, or newer players, you will definitely want to stick with the very easy difficulty this month, with the same trust in mind. You will want to pick one of the two Iron Giants at the start of the fight, and after establishing hate on both of them, I recommend getting some Enfeebles in if you can to slow them down, and then start trying to take the first one down to that 85% health mark. Once it freezes, quickly switch to the other, and start getting your back and forth process of doing damage to one while the other is frozen in. Now, Frost Snot's phases will normally go much faster since your physical weapon skills will damage him much more than Blaze Knot's phases. Likewise, I've noticed Blaze Knot's phases will be the most dangerous due to all the abilities used, so try to take advantage of magical attacks such as Magic Burst and Skill Chains on Blaze Knot to make that phase go quicker. Now at the start, you'll want to use careful positioning to help your trust during the use of Cyclone Turbine. But once the freezing phase starts, most of the AoE abilities are going to hit your trust regardless of positioning, as long as they're not conal. Obviously keep them facing away from your trust at all times to avoid those conal abilities. But other than that, don't spend much time trying to reposition yourself or recasting shadows, and just get your damage in, as most of the abilities are just going to wipe those shadows anyway. There will also be lots of hate resets going on, so be sure to try and regain hate quickly after a phase ends, before your back line gets decimated. Now, most of the groups I hear taking this on this month on the very difficult difficulty are taking it on with a strategy of keeping the two giants within 15% health of each other for the entire run to avoid all of these nasty abilities. That being said, wins are taking these groups 10 to 15 minutes depending on just what jobs are used for each of these runs and what methods are being used to avoid the constant wipes of buffs. You can try and gear your jobs to expect the buffs to be constantly wiped, such as planning to cap your delay reduction with dual wield and haste gear, but don't neglect your accuracy depending on the difficulty you're on, as you may need that if those buffs are continually wiped. Plan to continually reapply shadows when in range, or use jobs such as Corsair and Ranger that will do damage from a distance and be able to keep their buffs. All these strategies should work, but again, don't expect the speedy runs that many are accustomed to, as all of your damage is going to be significantly reduced using this strategy for the duration of the run. Now, if you have a faster strategy to take this month's run on that involves freezing the Iron Giants using a Parta strategy, don't hesitate to post it down there in the comments to help out others. That's about all I have to share for this month's run. Enjoy the rest of the Ambuscade gear battle example, and have a great start to 2025, everyone. We'll see you next month.